What's up? It's Drew Mitchell, U/JFMV763, and we're gonna do another podcast tonight. This one's this one's on Friday night. Last two of them on Wednesday. I just felt like just looking over the post from the past day of the Libertarian Uncensored subreddit and discussing what we was posted today, and I think that'll be fun. So what we've been doing, we do, and that's what we've been doing. Yeah. So let's start with a little over a day ago. Uh, I'll start with this one. Great tweet explains the truth about censorship, hate, and controlling the narrative. Expose r// decline the censorship. That was posted by myself, and I think that's a good post because they say, oh, we just want to remove hate speech and misinformation, but that's you have to remember who defines what hate speech and misinformation is. You know, right now that the people in charge are like who the people in charge might be. They might have different definitions of hate speech and misinformation than you do. That's why you can't remove them because that's you need free speech because hate speech, misinformation are fundamentally free speech, and you have to remember that. You have to let them fail on their own accord. You can't force them, ban them because anyone can define anything they want as hate speech or misinformation. We live in a world where essentially you can define anything you want any way you want to. Because it's ultimately the state can define whatever it wants because it has the force to back it up. So that's why when you look at laws, they use a lot of words that you can very liberally interpret. Like say, oh, you can stretch a word out real far. Like reasonable. Reasonable is a word they love to stretch out. Oh, we need reasonable red flag laws. That's the thing. Who defines what reasonable is. You know, reasonable is a word you can stretch out. That's why it's all we just want reasonable gun control. You just can't do that. That's why it's kind of that's why you can't really trust anything when anyone these days, especially when words can be interpreted in whatever way you want them. That's what that. I also wrote that hate speech only seems to go one way. It's only right wing speech and is hate speech. But the left wing speech, it's completely okay for to, to shame people for depends on their race. If they're black, you can't do that. But if you're white, then the left's probably more accepting of it. That's just how it is. That's the rule of the left. It's just like if the left deems you a privileged group, then hate speech is completely fine. But if the left deems you not a privileged group, your hate speech is completely terrible. But if you're not a privileged group, well, you go right ahead. That's why I really don't like. It's just kind of annoying. So next up we have Louis Vuitton's Paris HQ stormed by demonstrators protesting against Macron pension reforms. Do you hear the people sing the song of angry men? It's music of the people. It's the end. Yeah, I think that was by Chi-Town, and yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, I like how the French seem to be going after the big corps like BlackRock and Louis Vuitton. Like in the U.S. in summer 2020, it seemed like the riders mostly went after small businesses, which I didn't like. But yeah, 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 uh, ultimately all power is held through force, and it's important to remember that. If the people don't like how a company is operating and they think it's operating to authoritarian, they I think all force might be a violation of NAP. But if they really think it's that bad and they want to risk violating NAP, I think you have the argument they should be able to risk violating NAP, and I think that's important to remember. So let's see, what do we have next? As they say in Germany, if there's not one Nazi at dinner table, not ever seen anything. I will tell Nazis this link about the Clarence Thomas, Harlan Stone, Clarence Thomas, what's his name? Harlan Crow. That's it. Case, and yeah, he was taking money at the table from a guy who collected historic memorabilia, and some of it was Nazi related. So right, it's always like Nazi, 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 Nazi. So you just kind of get tired after it circuits for a while. But I like what I commented. The guy who posted Chi-Town, he's kind of astounded. It's of course the same logic from the plot. Astounded like yourself. You can be an open Marxist or communist. It's completely fine, but they only go after you if you are Nazi, and they define Nazi very liberally. It's like if you don't think children should be, or if you don't think like 6-year-olds should be doing hormone blockers or whatever they call gender affirming care, oh, you're a Nazi. if you question this at all, you're a Nazi. That's why I posted that Swank Uyghur tweet from yesterday. I don't really care for Swank Uyghur, but he was hit it right now on the head. There's a 0% chance I would vote Trump, but look at how the right getting 70 people agree with them 5%, whereas left wing tries smashing with disagrees with them 0.05%. Yeah, it's like if you disagree with the left 0.505%, you're a Nazi. You know, that's why no one cares if you label anyone a Nazi anymore. It's well, you cried wolf. It's the redder who cried Nazi, pretty much. You know, when you say Nazi, 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 and you disagree in the slightest way, you know, it's just no one even cares anymore. That's the thing. You know, that's you just can't do it. If you were like, oh, Charlottesville and January 6 people are Nazis, you know, that'll be more acceptable. When you start to say, oh, people who you start to say like scientific method and math or white supremacy, you know, you're starting to lose people. You know, you just can't label everything Nazis or white supremacy. You know, and I think people need to realize that you just can't overuse words. And I think that's a lot of what people do these days. Next is, let's see. Let's see what we have here. Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny is ill, perhaps poisoned, aid said by Harumph from NPR. And yeah, I think Navalny, you know, he's kind of a cult figure on Reddit, I would say. You know, he's anti-Putin. I don't know if he'd be too much better, you know. You know, Russia's just kind of screwed up right now, but yeah, you know, yeah, I don't really have too much to say about that. You know, I think Russia, I don't really care for Russia right now. Hopefully they can get a democratic society there one day. Hopefully we can get one here in America too, to be honest, you know. Because right now we have a two-party duopoly, which, with the CIA being the ones who really, and the rest of the deep state being the ones who really run the country, so, yeah, it's not looking good anywhere, but, yeah, Russia at least is pretty much open, a little bit open, more openly worse, but the USA isn't perfect either. Let's see. Next we have salon owner gets week in jail for reason closed business during stay-at-home order. CBS News 2020. I read a tweet about her, about how she's had like an aneurysm or something. That's kind of sad. But yeah, don't let anyone gaslight you and tell you there was no lockdowns. There was businesses weren't forced to close. People weren't thrown in jail for violating lockdowns, because that totally happened in the U.S. And people are always excuses like, "Oh, China was so much worse." It's like these people would be exactly the ones who were like, "Oh, you know, the Nazis, what the U.S. did was with the Japanese and German American camps were bad, but the Nazis were so much worse, so it's entirely justified." You know, it's kind of the sad world we live in. It's just like, oh, someone else is more abusive. You know, it's like, oh, I might be abusive, but that other guy on the street is 5 times more abusive. You know, people, they just always try and deflect. You know, that's social media for you. It's it's deflect, project. Spin for your spin and frame for your side. You know, it's just kind of sad. You know, it's just everyone's just very caught up in their narratives. I would say, um, um, you know, I'm trying to think. You know, I would say that, you know, we live in a world where where people are just so caught up in themselves, they can't literally process opposing arguments, and that's just kind of scary, you know. And I think this is only going to get worse as time goes on, and I think it's going to be important to remember that. So we'll see what happens. Next we have LP chair has new anti-woke plan post yesterday. I think that's interesting. You know, I think the whole woke, anti-woke movement's kind of a grift. You know, companies love to use rainbow capitalism, and some other, like, right-wing grifters like the Daily Wire, they love to say, oh, we have now anti-woke chocolate since Hershey's has a trans person on it, or anti-woke beer since Bud Light has a trans person on it. You know, I'm just tired of it, you know. Can we just, you know, it's just been going on for years. I remember when it was like 10 years ago, it was Kraft and Kraft having a rainbow package, and then Chick-fil-A just, you know, being Chick-fil-A, and, you know, now it's 10 years and still been going on. You know, we're getting tired of it, you know. But, you know, I don't think it's gonna end anytime soon. You know, the culture war is how they keep us proles distracted, you know, so they can just do whatever they want, like in Ukraine or wherever. We just do need to keep the proletariat distracted, and it works perfectly. So Yeah. Let's see. Extinction Rebellion currently protesting luxury hotel on we can't afford super rich by Chi-Town. Yeah, the Extinction Rebellion, I think it's kind of, I don't know, I think that's kind of like a Just Stop Oil. I know those guys kind of make themselves look bad sometimes, with the painting stuff, for putting all the things over, all the grime over the paintings, it's just kind of that's another thing I'm sick of. I'm sick of the whole culture jerk. I'm sick of all the little climate crisis circle jerk. If you want to believe the world's ending, believe the world's ending. But just don't force other people to believe that. You just kick out. You just it's it just gets kind of tiring. We've been at like the world's ending for like at least social media really makes you think the world's always ending. It feels like it's been like really since 2016, but you could argue before that as well, and you eventually just get tired of it, you get numb. Eventually, and the world's actually ending, I don't think people even care anymore. It's like Chicken Little, the sky's falling, you can only say that too many times before people just start to get tired. Arizona Supreme Court finds the Mormon Church can conceal crimes against children because of clergy privilege, like Clorox, TH4 locks, I'll just call them Clorox, I think this might be spin, but yeah, they really do like to let the churches off a little easy, I would say, but that's just how it can be sometimes. Um, yeah, I would say that most people say that's a bad ruling. I would say, yeah. Let's see. What's next? We have Base Girl, and that's my Chi-Town. It seems to be a French satire show. Looks to be just a bit of a pro trans circle jerk, so nothing to really talk about too much there. And we have Russia's unfriendly countries in 2023. They're not wrong. Yeah, nothing too surprising there. Surprised Singapore's on it. Pretty much all of Europe is on it except for Russia themselves, some of Turkey, Moldova, Bosnia, and Serbia. And yeah, Russia. I won't be surprised if the U.S. had an unfriendly country list as well, but Russia, they're pretty open about sharing it, so it's not too interesting. That's why Chi-Town, by the way. And we have Nebraska Republicans, the 6 people working on the series, white people are being replaced. Yeah, it's another incredibly stupid thing to say. They posted that link before. Someone else posted that link before yesterday, on the stuff that I read it the day before that. But yeah, people love to circle that, because the Republicans sometimes just can't. They just can't help make themselves look bad. The media's always gonna try and spin whatever they do as bad, but sometimes. That's why I'm a libertarian, not a Republican, because they're always gonna spread like this is every Republican. Yeah, there's some. Yeah, let's see. Next, we have a post from Chi-Town, the most interesting man in Clarence Thomas's world. This is what deregulation and rules of merit power for low taxes got us. That's never Chi-Town one. Yeah, it's another Clarence Thomas bad post. I don't know. Next, we have rural Texas County will keep public libraries open and return banned books to its shelves after a judge order by Harumph. Yeah, I guess that's cool, Libraries are, important because, even if you're not there for the books, you have other stuff there, so some people can access, only access the internet for the libraries, and I think it's important that everyone should be able to access the internet, as that's where the public forum is pretty much these days, and I think, that's important, yeah. So I would say it's a good thing, I like libraries, that's why I really like everything. I'm more of a libertarian than a Republican, Libertarian almost sounds like librarian, I would say, so I guess that makes sense. Private freakout leaked audio. Tennessee House Representatives fighting over Tennessee free votes. Becky, you gotta do what's right even when you think it might be wrong. Leadership says Barrett made them look racist. Becky says they're at war, and that's a motherfucking boast. He's another kind of Chi-Town guy, kind of always does the left circle jerk. But, yeah, the tendency for, that the Republicans should know better. That they would leave that to make them look bad. It's a Becky. Even if they didn't, if you didn't impeach them, they still made you look bad. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They'll spin it and make you look bad no matter what you do. Like, you could cure cancer and they'll spin that making you look bad. So it doesn't really matter. Yeah, but that's kind of that's the gun control circle jerk. So that's another thing that's tiring. The gun control circle jerk. All the political circle jerks are really tiring now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah. Let's see what's next. Leaked docs. The U.S. intel briefing indicates Zelensky privately suggested his top general had the bomb Rostov, Russia, and the only thing limiting him from doing so more in the future is lack of long-range missiles provided by the U.S. by Sagar and Jetty. For my breaking points, I posted that one, and I said, well, I thought this was supposed to be a defensive war, and said, well, we've redefined what defensive means. That's what I'm saying. They can redefine whatever they want. And that's just scary. We've redefined defensive. We can redefine whatever we want. It's like as I said in my comments post. It says Oceania has always been a more East Asia moment. They can change the narrative wherever they want. It's always been that way. If the U.S. ever does go out and hot war with Russia, we'll be like, oh, the U.S. has always been at war with Russia. It's just like, Oceania's always been at war with East Asia. It's just scary how people can deceive themselves through what everyone else says, and that's important to remember. If everyone else jumps off a bridge, don't do it. I get downvoted a lot in the subreddit, and I keep coming back because as much as they downvote me, I'll keep coming back because I'm gonna break up that circle jerk, and I hate circle jerks, and I think no matter what happens, we need to get rid of his mom as much as possible. So that's why I really, yeah. Let's see what we have next. We have, when your government is escalating an unclear proxy war against a nuclear power and lying about facts on the ground for the American people, there's nothing more patriotic than the whistleblower. Clint Russell, I would agree with that, yeah. I always like how the whistleblowers try and undermine the government. I always like the whistleblowers. Snowden, Manning, Winter, Assange, of course. I always like how people just try and expose what the government's hiding. It's the pirates and emperors thing. When we have something to hide, the state's like, oh, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. But does the same apply to them? No, you can't. They can hide whatever they want, and you can't question it. I think that's important to remember. Because they can spy on you all they want, but you can't dare even think about spying on them. And that's important to remember. Everyone. They think they're exempt, but they're not exempt, and that's important to remember. No one is exempt from anything. Not just because you're the government does not mean you're exempt. Like if I bombed the Middle East for a decade, I'd be held up as an international war criminal. But the government does it. No one cares. That's why I want them to be. I want the same standards for me as for them. That's why I think they're all war criminals. They should all go to prison. They're trying to get Trump, but that's just kind of for bullshit reasons, not for any of the war crime or COVID regime stuff. It's just kind of bullshit. That's why they probably won't get him on that. Next, we have corporate journalists went to the Pentagon today to angrily demand they find ways to clamp down on circus to ensure that no more leaks can happen. One specifically demanded they monitor Discord. Congratulations, more monitoring. Yeah, the MLS, MSM is clearly just a branch of the government at this point. It's just regime propaganda. It's kind of like the Nazis and the Soviets had directly state-controlled media. Well, the U.S. is kind of indirectly state-controlled media at this point, so that's why we see the rise of alternative media and people questioning the narrative. That's why times are so politically toxic these days. People are questioning the narrative, and you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to be a good boy and believe whatever, the NY Times or BBC tells you, and then you'll get get, I don't know, a cookie. I don't know. No, that's the thing. You don't get rewards. Well, you don't get rewards if you do that. Maybe you get upvotes on Reddit if you say, "Oh, circle jerk," whatever the MSM narrative is. But you don't get rewarded if I, that's the thing. That's why people are questioning. People are questioning what the world, what's going on right now, and that's important. You should always have questions. Soon I don't think we'll be able to do that. Especially if the Fed now and the CBDC coming out. I think that's something that's going to be probably a thing of the past in the next couple of decades, and that's just kind of sad. That's why I'm starting this podcast now, because I know it's probably might be my last chance to ever do one, and it's something I think it's important to just express my opinions on what I see on the internet and what the free speech what free speech I have left. And we have man who puts cock in Chinese spike using someone else's time prayers. That was Eric Swalwell. They say, "Oh, Eric Swalwell didn't do that." But it's funny because if he had an R next to his name, they would all say he did that, but he didn't do it because he has the next name. He probably did it, but I guess he's innocent and proven guilty. I don't really care. He probably did it. I think Trump probably put his cock in Stormy Daniels as well, but at least he didn't put it in a Chinese spy. I don't be surprised if he did. I don't be surprised if they all did at this point. But as I said in the comment, they're all traitors if you ask me. Not necessarily the U.S. government, but the ideas of liberty. That's why my loyalty is to liberty rather than the government. Because the government is inherently, I would argue, authoritarian to some extent. That's why my loyalty is ultimately to liberty, I would say. And yeah. And what we have next, increasing IRS enforcement not from cheating by me, Crystal Walls. It looks interesting. Cato post, buys IRS enforcement budget to skyrocket. Yeah, the IRS is no fun. Hopefully we can get rid of them in the other alphabet agencies one day. After Matt Taibbi leaves Twitter, Elon Musk shadow bans off Taibbi's tweets, including Twitter fires authoritarians been authoritarian from Tech Dirt by Chi-Town. I've seen that one a lot. Yeah, they'll still say the Twitter files are nothing burger, though, but, and they'll still hate Matt Taibbi because, even if Elon's turned against him, they'll still hate him because he says stuff that he shouldn't. You have to say the right things 100%, 99.99% of the time, or else they'll turn on you. And that's important to remember. That's why you should speak up for yourself, I would say that's both true of a lot. It's true of a lot of people these days. You have to say the right things all the time, and I don't like that. I think you need to say what you think. You're never going to agree entirely with someone else because that's how people are. That's what you need to do. What you need to do what you think is right. You just can't do what other people say you think is right. And that's why I think a big problem with social media is it's very group thinky. It rewards groupthink. When you get likes or retweets or whatever, upvotes. It rewards groupthink, and that's important to why, and that's I think important to why that is. It's inherently collectivist, I would say, and that's probably one of my biggest problems with it. I would say, yeah. Groundbreaking new dark matter map validates Einstein's theory of general relativity. Matter Einstein was a libertarian-minded democratic socialist by Town from Science Daily. I don't really know about that too much. I don't really read too much into Einstein's politics, but if he was a democratic socialist, I'm not really a socialist kind of guy, but, I guess, he did have to deal, Einstein actually, he did have to kind of deal with fascism there for a little, so I guess that would probably be a little bit more justified for, becoming a socialist, and not like like Hitler fascism, not like Trump fascism. People would probably at this point would probably say like Barack Obama's a fascist, or it's like you label everyone a fascist. Probably gonna label like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez a fascist at some point. Like it just means nothing when you label everyone it. When you ever try to see why I Edward it's to destroy the country, maybe young kids listen. Confident net 5377. And that looks interesting. It's the Jack. What's his name? Teixeira. Jack Teixeira, I think it is. Yeah, Jack Teixeira. Yeah. That wasn't good what they did to him. I don't think. I think I want to free him, free Snowden, if Snowden is in Russia right now, but you really be free Russia, free all of them. Undermine the government. The government shouldn't be keeping secrets from the people. they need the same standards we do. The NSA monitors us. Why can't we monitor the government? I would argue they should be held to a higher standard. That why should we have the government keep secrets? Why do they need anything? What do they need to keep secret? What do they have? Where are they hiding? That's what they ask of us. Why can we ask it of them? Israel's one-state reality from Foreign Affairs by Harumph. Let's see. It's time to give up on the two-state solution. I don't think we'll ever get anything. I think we'll probably still be in the same place like 50 years from now at this point. We've been here forever. I don't really care. I used to be more anti-Israel back when I used to be a Democrat, but they're both the governments of Israel and Palestine are both kind of bullshit. All the governments are kind of bullshit. So, and that's not really the thing I care about as much anymore as we used to back in say like 2015 or so. Next we have Montana could be first state to ban TikTok. I think they're going to go through with that now. Yeah. I don't like TikTok, but I think it's Chinese spyware, but I don't think you should ban anything. Well, not ban anything within reason. Maybe like child pornography websites, you should probably ban those. But not just like social media. You probably shouldn't just ban general social media websites, even if they are Chinese spyware. Because let's face it, everything's probably spyware these days. Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, whatever, Google. It's all probably spyware. So I really don't care. Commerce I present to American Marxism. Yeah, this is it's a tweet from a guy saying, "Oh, William Wolfie's like everything's race Marxism, he's race Marxism, DEI is gender Marxism, DEI is employment Marxism, ESG is investment Marxism, is all Marxism." Yeah, that's pretty much the right. They always say Marxism, and then that's very much like fascism. It's just the circles work its own after a while. Of course, the one guy who commented said. They don't understand Marx at all, and of course, the job description is average Trotskyist, communist, and Chad scientist. So that's pretty much Reddit for you. That's pretty much a centrist by Reddit standards. So much communism, it's communist and socialist. Just gets on your nerves. It gets in your nerves a little while. After a while, I would say. Never LGBTQ groomer whoops the main straight to people edition goes to jail from Yahoo by P-Tom13. Yeah, it's interesting, I think, people on the right are like, oh, the left's all pedophiles. People on the left are like, oh, the right's all pedophiles, I think there's probably pedophiles all over the place, We still don't have anyone on the Epstein client list. I won't be surprised if like 40% of the population there are pedophiles at this point. Maybe even like 90%. It seems 99%. It's just, I don't even know anymore. Well, at least I'm not one. Despite they might think I am, but I'm not. And yeah, and if you ever, yeah. I'm a racist, Dale Perry wrote, shared trove of racist anti-protest messages on by Flimsy L5563. Yeah, that Daniel Perry thing. I think it seems like it was self-defense. Now, I don't know if it's the Spears Kyle Rittenhouse, but I guess we'll see what they say. I think it will be self-defense, Soon we'll probably not have the right self-defense. That's another thing that's probably going away, like free speech. You're not going to be able to defend yourself, and that's probably important to remember. I guess that's just how it goes sometimes, It's sometimes you're not able to make the rules. So we're almost done. We have a few more posts to go. Republican-controlled government of Texas pushing tech platforms to censor posts about abortion. If passed, proposed law would also require internet service providers blockbusters to provide access to abortion from Wired by Chi-Town. Yeah, it's a bit, as a free speech absolutist, that's something I really don't care for. I'm personally more on the pro-choice side of the argument, probably another reason I'm not a Republican. But I think, just let people talk, You might disagree with it, but let people talk, it's just words, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Can't wait to go back to that. The Dangerous Ride of Front Yard Politics from, it's an archive page from her own. Where's it from? Let's see. I think NPR. Oh, The Atlantic. That's, pretty much never NPR. Yeah, I think that's about, like, all the hypocrisy, like, we need, the left wants to, yeah, it's about all the party hypocrisy, and how hard it is to get housing, it looks like. Yeah, I'm not going to read too much into that. So, because I've already been on for half an hour and starting to get a little tired. Yeah, but yeah, both of the parties are hypocritical as hell when it comes to all the stuff like that. They're always like, "Oh, we just want to help you." They don't really care about helping you. They care about enriching themselves first and foremost. And it's important to remember that they just want it's a grift. It's all a grift. It's all a grift. Life is pretty much all a grift, I would say, but politics is like the professional grifts. Texas could check platforms censor about abortion. I think that's the same one from same Wired link. Yeah, it's the same Wired link, but this one's to an archive page, so I'll leave it up. I left it up. Yeah, so we talked about that already. Let's see. Mod Arsenal Libertarians going up. Ban ranching aren't trying to hide their alt-right fascist viewpoints anymore. Yeah, I hate all the banners on Reddit. The admins love to enforce their stuff, and then the mods also love to enforce their stuff. That's why I like having an uncensored subreddit. I do have to remove stuff on occasion because of Reddit rules, but yeah, I think it's good overall. I think a lot of libertarians on this subreddit are more left leaning, but I think you should be able to find words however you want. But as long as you don't force those definitions on other people, it's kind of like what we see a lot today, though. People are trying to force their definitions on words on you, and I don't really like that. My state effectively outlawed hormone therapy by an age emergency rule by your state officer. So this is Missouri. It's from the Hill. Yeah, I personally don't really care for all the hormone stuff, but I don't think it should be illegal. I think I'm against the war on drugs. Do whatever drugs you want as long as you're of age. If you're underage, I'm a bit more hesitant. Maybe let the parents have their parental rights there. Yeah, but yeah, I might think in the future we might see stuff like hormones and all these gender surgeries as like lobotomies. But if you want to get a lobotomy, I think you should be able to get a lobotomy. That should be your decision. I wouldn't recommend it, but I want you to make your own decisions, and I think that's what I want as a libertarian. You should be able to make your own decisions as long as you're not hurting anyone else. So we're almost done. Resistance Mega Project Tren Maya in southern Mexico. In less than 2 weeks, the caravan El Sur Resist begins in southern Mexico. The start of the caravan in action is planned on April 25th, on which actions related to the local struggles in the global south should take place from Nusil C1 121XYXYZ for Chi-Town. That sounds interesting, I guess. I remember we had a lot of the caravans back in 2018. That was the big midterm election story that year. I don't know if this is something similar, but whatever. Some of these comments are absolutely clueless by Harumph. Yeah, a lot of I would say on the internet a lot of the comments are absolutely clueless. I would say the internet really shows that pretty much everyone's absolutely clueless. That's the thing. Everyone thinks they know everything, but most people, even the smartest people, don't know like 98% of stuff. So that's something. That's the problem with humanity. Humanity is too proud, and I think it's important to remember that why humans are so proud. They're just too proud. That's why pride is a sin. It's just I think you should be proud, but don't worship yourself. That's why that's probably my biggest problem with LGBTQ. They kind of take pride to the level of starting to worship yourself and your sexuality / identity, and I don't think that's why I would see like woke as it's kind of like the worship of the progressivism and identity politics. And I don't really care for that. We're almost done. Oh wait, what were the comments? What was that about? Every as well, disarming trans people. I think you could make the argument that being transgender is mental illness, especially like legitimate gender dysphoria, rather than being trendy like some people are these days. But I think what ultimately is defined as mental illness is ultimately defined by those who have access to change definition. We think we say like, oh, they're unbiased, but they're totally biased. That's why I think everyone I don't believe you should be able to live with everyone with mental illness, but I think even people with mental illness should have guns because That's because who labels what a mellowness. So, they might say they said, "Oh, playing too many video games, that might be mellowness." The gamer syndrome. And soon they'll probably say, "Oh, wanting to own guns is mellowness." So that's why the thing is, I don't really care for the whole label of mellowness. Label everyone a mellowness, but I don't think people should be forced to label themselves mentally ill if they don't want to, as long as they don't hurt anyone else. So we're almost finished. Let's see. It's very funny that 2 days ago, PBS and NPR were complaining about being so-called state media, and the day after, returning to the Pentagon and asked if they can stop the public from knowing more about their own government release. Yeah, we kind of went over that. It's from a stupid poll. It's a Marxist subreddit, but it's trickling any politics. I don't really agree with too much Marxist economics, but there are some good, more left-wing people like Shion Head. She's a socialist, but she's against all this IdPol stuff. So that's at least like that. It's IdPol just gets it's just kind of annoying. And you just can't. People just can't stop talking about it. Can we just one of these days we just are gonna give it up, hopefully, but I don't know if that's looking too good right now, but we'll see what happens in 10, 20, 30 years. We don't discriminate when it comes to leaks of government secrets. All these secret leaks and all transparency, LP National, we kind of already talked about this, and the leaker. The FBI can quickly pinpoint the leaker of the classified documents within days, but can't cover a single Epstein Maxwell client in years. This tells you everything you need to know about the priorities. Number one for me, from LP National. Yeah, that's pretty much it. They can, if they are threatened, they go right away. But if they want to help bring justice for the Epstein's victims, you're never gonna get that. So makes you think what their priorities are. A week ago, government officials were lying for thief jurors, claiming the leak was Russian information. They always say Russian information. It's like Hunter Biden's laptop right there. They switched hearing whistleblower. She's running on train at your mark 3 years because of its corruption. Dave Smith. I agree with that. That's another thing I posted. Yeah, they're always gonna say it's Russian disinformation, but it's all. Everyone has an agenda. Never let anyone tell you otherwise. Everyone has an agenda. Even if you don't think someone does, they do, and that's important to remember. A Texas man sentenced to 70 years after he's found guilty of spitting at law police officers during closing arguments. The prosecutors have to consider a number that would send a message to peers in society, since and says barbaric questions by philosophic despair. I don't think he should be sentenced 70 years for spitting on someone. Maybe a few weeks or months, but not years. I don't think you should spit on someone. I think that's probably a NAP violation. Don't respect people's personal space, I would say. And yeah, I said, of course they're cops, so, of course people will really not like 70 years. I don't know if they'd be different if they were trans people, then needs to be probably less. I would say probably be a little more justified, I would say, but I wouldn't justify it either way. So let's see. By this new left logic, the ACO in 1978 were white nationalists because they fought for free speech rights of white nationalists. Virtually no one believed back then that they were the whistleblowers beginning Nazis themselves buried the principal racist by Hannah Cox. I agree with that. We need to stand up for free speech even for those we despise, and we're kind of losing that. We're kind of like saying, oh, hate speech misinformation is illegal, which we went into earlier. So I'll keep that to a minute, to a brief. And let's see if we can get to a final story here. Canadian trans teacher coming right work through spotted leaving them off at Seek Up Pacific Press. Yeah, I think that's the second time they found her about them. That's the thing with being transgender. It's like at some point, I think some people are really wanting this to want to normalize their kinks a little. I would say, and I think I let my comment on this post speak for itself. She seems to only wear them in class. Well, wherever you want, but don't be surprised if people may complain about your attire being distracted, especially if you are in a work or school environment. Sometimes you have to wear certain things on jobs. That's authoritarian, but that's how jobs work. Jobs are kind of inherently authoritarian. But that's how society works sometimes, and they have to wear certain things. But yeah, and yeah, so yeah, that's the thing of the that's the thing with the transgender circles. The anti-transgender circles and the pro-transgender circles are just gone so crazy. Both of them have gone so crazy, and I think like most people like me are just kind of tired of it at this point. Like, I never really heard of transgender people at all before Caitlyn Jenner came out, and then Caitlyn Jenner comes out in 2015. Everyone goes stunning and brave, and then it's just now people won't shut up about them. So we'll see where it goes from here. And let's see if anything new was posted. And let's see. Fellow Libertarians, we need you. Libertarian Party for the Model U.S. Government. That sounds interesting by Gerald Frosty. Let's approve that. And that sounds fun. U.S. government simulation on Reddit. So that looks like that's about it. So 40 minutes in, we're going to call it a podcast. And thank you for listening if you made it this far.